What a crowd. Oh, my goodness. Hi, you guys. Wow. Thank you so much. Wow. You know how to make a guy feel special. I'll tell you, this is quite a welcome. Something like this could go to your head. You know that? You folks did something special for me on Caucus Day, and you did something special today. What a crowd in here at Henderson. Thank you. I have to tell you, though, that, Ann keeps my feet on the ground. She has a special way of doing that. We were just off in at the Olympics in Beijing, and it was quite an experience. They put on spectacular games. The venues were remarkable. It's interesting, though, to be in a country where they don't have the Bill of Rights, where people aren't used to the basic freedoms that we know here. I was struck by the fact, I read an article in USA Today where they indicated that there was a group of Chinese citizens that gathered around a TV screen on the street to watch an Olympic event, and the police came and broke them up because there's not the right to assembly. And of course, they don't have the right to free speech. You watch TV there, you watch a cable network, and when something is said they don't like, it blacks off the screen. You don't get to hear it. And then, of course, you don't have the right to religion there in the country that we know and love. We don't have the Second Amendment, of course. So a very different Olympics than I was used to in a land of lovely, wonderful people, remarkable spectacle, but not the Bill of Rights. I appreciate the values and the freedoms that we have in this great land. I said that Ann keeps my feet on the ground. We went to a volleyball tournament, one of the first events we got to see. It happened to be beach volleyball, and it was a night that the women from the USA were playing. And they won the gold. Not that night. This was an early round event, and we came in because of my experience in helping organize the games of 2002. I get to sit on a block of seating called the Olympic Family Seating. It's for people who are either the athletes that are currently there or people who are formerly associated with the Olympics or some of the current leaders. But it was an early round event, beach volleyball, very few people there, maybe 100 seats and only 5 or 6 people sitting there. And so Ann and I came in a little late, and we sat right up in the front row so we could be right there with the women playing volleyball. And we noticed that there were a few people behind us from the States there, I'm sure, but we were enjoying the event. It was really spectacular, crowds enthusiastic, a lot of Americans waving American flags. We could see them around the arena. And then I noticed that some people there, some Americans, recognized me and were taking my picture. I thought, wow, I've come all the way to Beijing. And they're over there, and they're pointing and taking my picture. And more people began doing that. And then some of the Chinese people began getting out their cameras and taking pictures. And I said to Ann, can you believe this? I'm in Beijing, and they recognize me? And she tapped my shoulder and said, turn around. There was Kobe Bryant behind me. Now, we've got quite an election ahead of us. I heard a story just today. My brother-in-law, Jim Davies from California, sent me a story from the internet. You may have seen it already. It may be the if you will, the classic story of this election, because it says that the election is going to be so close that when it's all over, it's going to be settled not by an electoral vote, but by a fishing contest. And that Barack Obama and John McCain are going to be sent to Minnesota in the winter, and it's going to be freezing cold, and they're going to be sent to opposite sides of the lake. And this ice fishing contest is to go on for 4 days. And the first day, well, of course, at the end of the 4 days, the one with the most fish is the one that becomes president. First day, John McCain comes in. He's caught 10 fish. Barack Obama, 0. Second day, McCain's caught 20 fish. Barack Obama, 0. Third day, Harry Reid goes to Barack Obama and says, it's obvious that John McCain is cheating. You've got to go spy on John McCain and see what he's doing. And so Barack Obama, the third day, doesn't fish. He goes and spies on John McCain. He comes back to Harry Reid and says, you won't believe what John McCain is doing. He's cutting a hole in the ice. You see, John McCain is going to win because he's going to point out that experience does make a difference. I want to say thanks to you for gathering, but thanks to some of the leaders who've come together. Governor Kralicki, your lieutenant governor, has been a great leader and a great friend, and I appreciate his being here. I understand Carmine gave a wonderful rendition of our national anthem. Thank you, Carmine. Where's Carmine here? Right over here. Thank you, Carmine. Congressman Porter is here. Appreciate his support and his rallying. Assemblyman Lynn Stewart is here, and I know there are a number of elected officials and would-be elected officials. I want to support you and encourage you in your races. This is going to be a critical election for a lot of folks, for a lot of us. You know that America faces challenges in some respects unprecedented. We face an economy that's struggling. A lot of people have lost their homes. A lot of people are worried about making their mortgage payments. People can't find the financing they need in some cases to buy the home they wanted. A lot of people are finding it hard to get to work because of the cost of gasoline. You recognize here in Nevada, a lot of folks can't come here from California because of the cost of gasoline, can't fly in here, so it's affecting your economy. The economy is really fragile right now. And so you have two people who are running for office who care about the economy, but they have very different prescriptions about how to make it better. One, John McCain, has been around for a while. He's not only had a career in the military, he's had a career for 25 years in the Senate. He was there for the Reagan Revolution, and he was there for the economic ups and downs of the last 25 years. The other's a charming, attractive young fellow, Barack Obama, who's a fine speaker, but he hasn't been around to help guide the economy over those years, either working in the private sector or working in the governmental sector, working in Washington to understand how the economy works. And so Barack Obama's come out with his plan. His plan is to raise taxes. He's proposed over the course of this campaign raising taxes on corporations, on savings, on individuals, on Social Security. Barack Obama would raise taxes. He also would cut back on trade with foreign nations. He doesn't recognize that 1 out of 6 jobs for Americans is associated with making goods and services that go offshore and create great jobs for Americans. And he'd also have the government take over health care, 1/6 of our economy. He said he's in favor of a single-payer system. Yeah, I don't want the guys who ran the Katrina cleanup running my health care system. I got to tell you that. And so when it comes to the economy, I think Barack Obama's wrong. He recognizes, of course, that energy is a big part of our economic woe. The fact that people are having to spend so much for gasoline, the fact that we send $2 billion every day out of America to other countries to buy oil from them. That is not helping our economy. And so Barack Obama says he's going to develop our renewable resources of energy. And that's a wonderful idea, except he won't do the other things we need, which is drill offshore and build new nuclear power plants. John McCain's prescription is entirely different. John McCain says no to raising taxes. John McCain says we're going to trade around the world on a fair and equitable basis. John McCain says we're not going to have government take over health care. We're going to keep it private and let the individual citizen guide their health care choices. And John McCain says we're not just going to talk about energy independence. We're actually going to achieve it. We're going to develop all the renewable resources. We're going to have efficiencies in our cars and in our homes. And we're going to drill offshore and build nuclear power plants. Now, of course, another great challenge we face, which is hard for the Democrats to speak about. I don't know if you've been listening to their convention or parts of it. I was there yesterday in Denver, and I kept on waiting to hear someone mention the phrase radical violent jihad, or the evil in the world represented by this extreme Islamic jihadism. I didn't hear it. Maybe someone mentioned it. I didn't hear it throughout the whole time. It's the greatest threat facing the civilized world, but they don't want to even recognize it. And Barack Obama's foreign policy was characterized in his debate when he was asked he would meet with the world's worst actors without condition in his first year as president. Oh, yes, says he. Ahmadinejad, Castro, Assad, Kim Jong-il. These are the people he'll meet with in his first year. Not John McCain. He, in his first year, he's going to meet with the great democratic leaders of the world, bring together a league of democracies so we can stand up to the world's worst actors. Now, both John McCain and Barack Obama have as their goal having our troops home from Iraq by the end of their first term. The difference is John McCain will bring them home in victory. Now, with all the foot faults that Barack Obama has made over the last several months talking about foreign policy, it was clear he needed to bring someone on his ticket who had some experience in foreign policy, and he did that. Joe Biden has worked in the area of foreign policy for the last 30 years. And the problem is he's been wrong in foreign policy most of the time for the last 30 years. When Ronald Reagan said, in order to win the Cold War, we need to build our military capacity and initiated the Strategic Defense Initiative, why then Joe Biden said, oh no, that would be wrong. That's going to strengthen the Russians and the Soviets, and that's going to make them more belligerent. Well, he was wrong, and Ronald Reagan was right, and so was John McCain. When Saddam Hussein took his troops and invaded a nearby country, Kuwait, and took it over, and George Herbert Walker Bush said, we got to go in there and kick out the Iraqis, Joe Biden voted no. When we faced the challenges that we knew face here in Iraq, John McCain stood up and said, you know what we need to do? We need to have a surge of troops there. And he's been arguing for that for a long time. Joe Biden had a different plan. Why don't we divide the country into 3 countries, he said. Divide it into 3 parts. Well, right now we're on the cusp of seeing Iraq as an independent, strong nation able to defend itself by virtue of the surge John McCain promoted. The difference between these 2 individuals and where they lead America could not be more clear. And so I think the American people are going to do the absolute right thing. They're going to say that, that Barack Obama, as nice a man as he is, needs another 10 or 20 years in the Senate before they'll consider him for president. And John McCain has been tested and proven. He has put country first time and time again. He is ready to put country first again, and he will lead this nation to be stronger, more prosperous, and a world to be more peaceful. Now, I had the chance to get to know John McCain on a personal basis just recently. You see, he and I had been politicking with one another for a number of years. He came and campaigned for me when I ran against Ted Kennedy in 1994, and he campaigned again with me when I ran for governor, and we worked together on the Olympics because there were some matters related to security and transportation, and he had responsibilities there, so we worked together. I knew him on a professional basis. I called him Senator McCain, and then he invited me to go to his ranch in Sedona, where he told me to stop calling him Senator and to start calling him John. That's quite a privilege. I'm looking forward to calling the president John, but when he's president, he'll be Mr. President. But anyway, I went to the ranch in Sedona, and I wondered, what is this man like on a personal basis? Ann and I drove there, and we rented this white Mustang, and we got there, and just as we drove up, he came running over from a stream. There's a little creek that goes through the valley he lives in, and he said, come on down, there's some new birds in the creek. I said, well, okay. And so we went down to the creek, and there were some swallows. He said, look, Audubon has been here. They've categorized 57 varieties of birds in this little area. But he said, now there's a new one, this swallow. He was very excited. I thought, well, he knows his birds. And, we spent some time looking at those birds. At dinner, of course, he is a master griller. Oh, he had one of these grills about the size of he had 2 of them actually, about the size of a Volkswagen, these great, big stainless steel things. He was cooking for us the meat all weekend, all sorts of fowl. And I noted that the chicken was extraordinarily tender. I said, how do you get the chicken so tender on the grill? He said, well, Mitt, it's very simple. He said, when you cook the chicken, do you turn it over on the grill? I said, yes. He said, well, that's your mistake. You always put it on, bone down, and let it cook all the way through. You don't turn it over. That makes it tough. So I got finished with the weekend. I said, you know, this is quite a guy. He knows his birds, he shoots his birds, and he cooks his birds. And it was pointed out that after the weekend, the 58 varieties of birds had now been dropped to about 46. He is quite a guy. He's proud of his family. He spent the weekend introducing us to his daughters and to his son, who was on leave for military duty. You don't see them a lot. He doesn't put his family out front and center. He keeps them very private. He loves them very deeply and is very proud of them. I'm proud of the fact that we're led by an individual who stands for American values in so many plain and obvious ways, who's served his country as he has, who stands for the sanctity of life, for the preservation of traditional marriage, who stands for a strong military, who, when asked by what was it, at the Saddleback event just a couple of weeks ago, who was asked by Rick whether there was evil in the world, he had no hesitation. Absolutely was his question. And that was, radical, violent Islam is evil in the world, and he said he would defeat it. I'm proud to be able to support a man who will do what it takes to create jobs in America, and who believes, as the founders of this nation did, that the free enterprise system actually works, who doesn't take his inspiration from Europe, but takes his inspiration from the hardworking men and women of America. I happen to believe that Washington needs change. I happen to believe, as you remember from my campaign, that Washington is broken. And there's no question in my mind that the change we need in Washington is not one of raising taxes, is not one of cutting off trade, is not one of having the government take over health care, and is not one of retreat and defeat in Iraq. That the change Washington needs is strong leadership to cut back on spending, to expand new markets for America, to achieve energy independence, and to stand up for the values that Americans love and believe in. You guys, don't sit down, I'm almost finished. You guys made me proud. You made me proud and honored when you helped me win the state in the caucus. And I'll tell you, I will be even more proud and even more honored when you make sure that John McCain is the next president of the United States. Thank you so much. Thank you.